everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're so excited today to bring you our first conversation with one of the Hallmark Publishing authors. We are talking to Alys Murray, who has a new book, The Christmas Company, coming out tomorrow, October 16th, and we're really excited to talk about it. And I am Rachel, and Amber is here.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, and Alys, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of the Hallmarkies, so it's great to be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. And we've gotten to know each other on Twitter, and it's been really fun. So this is such a treat to get to have you on the podcast. And so what we like to do is we like to have our guests introduce themselves and tell us what inspired you to become a writer.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I'm Alys Murray, like you said, and I was a reader so much from when I was a kid. I mean, I just devoured books. When I was in trouble, my dad would put me in the corner of the room and he would give me just like a really big book. So he would like pick the biggest book off the shelf. So that was how I ended up reading Great Expectations at like 8, because I was like acting up and he was like, read this. And I was like, okay. So that's how I started reading, and it just kind of grew a love of reading out of there. And then, you know, once you become a reader and you fall in love with storytelling, then, you know, you just want to kind of dig in and write your own, and you come up with your own ideas and things sort of grow out from there. So I was writing short stories and plays and sketches from the time I was a kid. And then I actually went to NYU to become a theater director for my undergrad. But I just really fell in love. I had to take a playwriting class, and I just fell in love with playwriting. And it ended up being something that I really liked, and ended up going to London to study with the British Dramatists Guild over there and the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, which was supposed to be like a 3-month program, and it ended up staying for 2 years. And while I was there, I had an idea for a book, and that ended up becoming The Christmas Company. And I was one of those people who was like, I will never write a novel. I do not have the stamina. Novels are silly. They're wonderful, but I am not strong enough or brave enough to write one. And then I did, kind of by accident. And now I just really love writing novels and love writing love stories. So that's how we're here. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. That's really cool that you kind of stumbled on it in a way kind of by accident, but yeah. That's
I like to think it's fate, not an accident.
Yeah.
It probably is. And I wasn't even going to submit it really anywhere. I'd written it, but I wasn't going to submit it. And my fiance, my boyfriend at the time, was like, well, you know what, Alys, you really should submit it. It's like a good book. You should just at least get feedback. I was like, I don't know about all that. That sounds really hard and scary. And he was like, well, how about this? If you do it, I'll buy you a bottle of wine. And I was like, okay, deal. So that was the trade. I submitted my book to Hallmark Publishing, and then he bought me a bottle of wine.
Nice.
That one bottle of wine that really started the story, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's all it takes sometimes, right? That's funny.
Well, it's so scary. You just don't know people think it. So it's hard to just kind of put yourself out there that first time. But now I'm just like, I want everyone to see these stories. They're fun.
Yeah.
People kissing them. It's very fun.
Good. I like to hear that about kissing. Woohoo! So you're in London. What is that like? You've been living in London for 2 years, you said?
3 years.
3 years. Wow.
And it's wonderful. I'm actually in California right now visiting my family, but thankfully, because the time difference is really common. But I love it over there. It's really, there's tons of inspiration. You know, you walk around the corner and there's a building that's been standing there, you know, for 1,000 years. Coming from Louisiana, where our oldest thing is 300 years old, I'm like, wow, that's so much history and so many stories you can kind of mine from all of that sort of inspiration over there. And I love it. It's beautiful, but it's always is nice coming home. And I'm from the South, so a lot of my stories take place there. And like, it's just, you know, lots of traveling and lots of inspiration. So I'm very lucky in that regard. Yes. But yeah, the inspiration for the Christmas Company actually came from like a very British building, and it was originally going to be set in England, and it was going to be historical, set during the Victorian era. So it has definitely changed from there. But the original inspiration was very, very British.
Well, have you always been like a Hallmark fan of the movies?
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes. When I guess I must have been like 11 or 12, my grandfather for Christmas just bought me like a bag of Hallmark DVDs that I still have. Like they're still like by my bedside, like in a big stack. And sometimes, like especially when I'm sick, Hallmark movies are like the ultimate like comfort food. So I'll just like throw those DVDs in for 12 hours at a stretch. So from the time I was very little, I've always loved them. And it's tricky being, you know, in the UK because we don't get the Hallmark channel. So I just like have like a big bin by my bed and, you know, have to pull out my DVDs. And then when I come home, I usually, during like all the time that I'm away, I'll be like, okay, Mom, here's my list of movies that I want you to DVR while I'm gone. And then when I get home, I literally just like plop myself on the couch and just press play on the DVR and get all my Hallmark fix.
Yeah.
So I get really big doses. I'll do like 30 at a time.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. You're like, yeah, friends, family. I don't have the Hallmark channel in the UK.
I know I came through to see you, but I actually came home to use your DVR.
Yeah. That's really funny. What were some of the ones that you got that first bundle from your grandpa?
Oh gosh, I think the Christmas letter. It's like where he's a soldier, and that was the one that I really, really loved, like the most. His card, like the Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas card. Yeah.
Yes. And
That
I just
one's really good.
loved that one. It was like so like swoony, and of course I was like 12, and like 12-year-olds love angst, so I was like, oh, it's emotional. I love it. So yeah, that was definitely like my first kind of gateway drug to Hallmark. But then it kept growing. It got worse and worse until it was like a full-blown addiction. There are worse addictions to have, honestly.
Yeah. We certainly have, both of us have certainly been there, that's for sure.
This is actually a Hallmark movie addiction counseling group, so
yeah.
we're helping each other work through it.
We really just enable each other. That's the problem. So that's really cool. So did you have favorite authors growing up? You said Dickens, were you into the classics?
I was a total classics nerd because I think when my dad graduated law school, someone gave him like where you get like a book a month and it's like always a classic.
Oh yeah.
I would like wait by the door on the 13th of every month and be like, what's it going to be this week? Is it Dumas? Is it, is it Dickens? Is it Jane Austen? And so I just kind of tore through those. But then of course, I loved like the Harry Potter series. I loved anything with like, I'm obviously a big Christmas magic girl, so anything with magic. But yeah, J.K. Rowling's and, did love Louisa May Alcott. I read, Little Women until I think my copy fell apart. Yeah, like I love stories about like friendship and love and like kind of hope and adventure, and those are always my bread and butter.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't really ever get into fantasy, as I don't know if I would have liked Harry Potter, but I was the same way with things like Little Women. I would just it was the first like book I was really proud of, like, oh, look, I finished this like big book. I was very excited. And so that was in Anne of Green Gables. Was very,
I was going to mention Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah.
The first episode of your podcast I listened to was the Anne with an E episode.
Oh,
how did you feel about Anne with an E?
I have mixed feelings. Mostly negative.
I knew we were kindred spirits. I knew it.
But then, of course, I love the podcast, and it's always nice because, like, especially being so far away and I don't get my Hallmark fix, it's, like, nice to be able, even if I haven't seen the movie, to be like, what do Amber and Rachel think?
Yeah. You're like, oh, Mom, don't worry about DVRing that one.
Right.
They both gave it 0 crowns, so that movie, don't even waste our time.
Oh, well, that's very sweet. We have a lot of time. It's like this is the longest drawn out version of like post-traumatic things of watching Anne with an E. Who knew what could happen?
Something great came out of something so not great.
Really cool. Yeah, I really love, you mentioned Great Expectations. I really love Great Expectations. I feel like it's just so surprising for a classic. Like everything that happens, I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
That was creative. I don't know. Like I didn't expect the old woman in the wedding dress, I don't know. It's very, very fun.
Also, Alys, I don't know if you're on it, but please make a Havisham movie. Like a book. I mean, write it like a modern Havisham book.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in.
He's the best.
We have so many ideas. If you ever are like a writer's block or whatever, like we'll have a brainstorming session. We yeah.
I have a notebook that I keep in my purse, and it's literally like the first page just says Hallmark ideas, and it's like underlined 4 times, and then like every page is just a new, and it's like almost full by now. So I'm like,
yeah,
she's fine, Rachel. She doesn't need us.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. So, do you know? Are these are these books just going to stay books, or is there potential for them to make movies, or are they going to be their own thing? Do you have any idea?
When you sell your book to Hallmark, basically they option the film as soon as they buy the book. So
it's possible.
So they tell us that not all of them will become movies, but they have hopes that many of them will. It's kind of the kind of catchphrase of Hallmark Publishing. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm very hopeful that the Christmas Company could, but
yeah.
I just have to hope first that people like the book, and then we'll see how it goes.
Right.
But I think they're anticipating that many of them will, because it's a lot easier to kind of instead of like going to Debbie McComber and at Hallmark and asking her for those rights, you already have your own book kind of stable of stories, which is exciting. So
especially when they're making like 106 new Christmas movies each year.
I know.
They need so many Christmas stories.
Yeah. So yeah, your book will be, is it the second original that will come out?
So Stacey Donovan's Sunrise Cabin will be the first. It's really, really great. It's like a wonderful, sweet, like fall romance. And then mine will be the first original Christmas book.
Fun. Cool. Well, we both read it, right, Amber?
Yes. I read it before Rachel because I'm better at reading.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, so we both read it, The Christmas Company. And how did you get the idea for this book?
Okay, so like I said, it was very British at first. I was at NYU and in London because they have their own campus there, and it's a really different campus to what we think of, sort of like a college campus. Mm-hmm. So it was in central London, and basically what they did was they bought these 2 historic Georgian townhouses, and they basically just like took out all the old furniture and like donated them to like the Victoria and Albert Museum, and then just put like desks and projectors in it. And so it looks like you're in like a Jane Austen drawing room, but you're like sitting at a horrible wooden desk and then projector on the wall. But like when I was in there, some of my classes were wonderful, but very boring. I'm writing a book right now. I don't want to talk about trade law. And I would daydream quite a bit, and being in this sort of Georgian old school British building, gave me a ton of ideas. And it was like right before Christmas, and I was kind of looking out the window, and I just started thinking about, Scrooge, and I love the character of Scrooge, and I think he's so fascinating, and I've always loved, his sort of story with Belle and how that kind of fell apart in the original story. And I had this idea about like a woman who, like, her family home gets kind of taken up by a moneylender, and so she sort of, he comes home from work one day, and like the Christmas Eve or whatever, and she has like taken over his home and has just like posed as his wife and has had it all decorated for Christmas. And I thought that was hilarious, but I was worried that, obviously like that's a very modern kind of thing to do, and I didn't want to like put modern sensibilities into like a Victorian story. Because obviously like in Victorian times, a woman alone couldn't just like spend the night at some guy's house.
Yeah.
So I kind of put the story away for a while. And then about a little less than a year later, I was living in this kind of horrible apartment. It was just, I was kind of in like kind of a sad place in my life. And it was like a 1-room apartment. So like I had the kitchen, and then I had the bedroom and a bathroom, and I didn't have anywhere because it was like a flat share. So there was no really kind of common area where I could go and get out. So like when I woke up in the morning, I would get out of bed, like sit at my desk in my room and type all day, and like go to bed. Like there was no sort of like breathing room for my own life. And it was really sad. And I remember waking up one morning and like my eyes were still closed, and I was like, I can't open my eyes and look at this like sad small room anymore. Like I just can't. And so I just started to like daydream, and I was like, okay, well, where would I rather be, and what would I rather be doing? And I kind of envisioned like Miller's Point, the town that the Christmas Company takes place in. And, you know, my daydream kind of took me from there. And then like before I knew it, I was at my computer, and I had just like started like furiously typing out the first chapter. And so yeah, something really, really great and fun came out of that really kind of, you know, sad time. And it always, like, getting up in the morning to like go visit Miller's Point was like a really exciting thing, and it really kind of changed my life and made me so much happier. And that's the thing I really love about writing, especially like these Hallmark books, is that, you know, I want them obviously to be really fun and like a escape for people who read them, but they're also really fun and an escape for me as I'm writing them. Mm-hmm. And like if I feel that kind of sense of escapism, and I'm excited to go to the computer every day and visit these people and the places that they live, and hopefully, you know, people get the same way when they're reading it. So yeah, that's where the Christmas Company came out of. It's kind of sad, but I hope something happier came out of it.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I like that you got that sense of escape, like just even while you were writing it. So tell us a little bit about kind of what the story is for our listeners who who might want to read it.
They can't read it until tomorrow.
Right. Give it a little.
Although if you do get a copy of Sunrise Cabin, there is a preview of the Christmas Company in the back, which was really exciting.
Ooh.
But yeah, so the Christmas Company is about a character named Kate Buckner, who lives in the town of Miller's Point. And every year Miller's Point puts on this kind of like epic, ultimate Charles Dickens Christmas festival. So they like dress the town up like Victorian England, and they bring in like trucks of fake snow, and people dress up, and they kind of walk festival goers through the kind of Christmas Carol story. And she loves it, and it was like kind of her, you know, sort of favorite thing in the whole world when she was a kid, and now she works for the festival. But the guy who owns the company, who owns the festival, passes away, and control of the company goes to his nephew, Clark, who comes to town and says, this festival does not make us enough money, we're canceling it, it's done. And so Kate decides that he doesn't actually want to close the company. There's just something wrong with him, and he doesn't like Christmas enough. But if she proves that he can like Christmas, then maybe he can give them the festival back. And originally it kind of starts out as a little bit selfish, you know, because she doesn't want to lose the festival. But as she sort of gets to know him and sort of starts to feel for him a little bit, she understands that she really could sort of save him as she's saving the festival. And you'll have to read it to find out what happens.
Yeah.
The Hallmark book, so you may have guessed. But no spoilers.
The festival closes. They all have sad lives to get apart. It's what happens. It's not. I'm lying. Maybe it is. Who knows? You'll have to read to find out.
Yeah. So, how did you get your inspiration for Clark and for Kate as characters?
Well, Clark, of course, is like, I really did want to kind of get a kind of Scrooge-ish, like Scrooge and Darcy is sort of mixed. You know, of course, Darcy is like the ultimate, you know, hero archetype. So I guess that's sort of cliche or whatever. But I really did want him to kind of, it's hard because you want to see where he's coming from, and you want to kind of feel for him, but you also need to have that conflict there right from the start. So it's hard to kind of find a way in to make people like Clark. which is in the beginning, I named him Clark because of like Clark Kent and Clark Gable and, all those kind of like strong American name. And I was hoping that if Kate, once you know that Kate likes him and you're like, okay, well, if Kate, this girl that is okay and she's nice and she loves Christmas, if she can find something to love about him, then like me as a reader, I can also find something to love about him. Mm-hmm. So I kind of got, Scrooge and Darcy, but with like a splash of, Hallmark hero. A lovable Hallmark hero.
Yeah, I think you pulled it off. I could see that. I thought his motivations were actually quite sound, which made him an interesting character because he's just trying to keep the one thing left he has from his parents, keep it going. And if the company goes under, then not only the Christmas festival will go under, but everything that he has, and so I thought that was actually made him a pretty interesting character.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that.
What do you think, Amber?
Of Clark or what?
Yeah, of Clark.
Oh, Clark. Obviously you end up liking him, but at the beginning I was like, stop being such a baby. I don't know, but it's fine. He grew on me. I was a little bit like, he's just like, he's so dramatic. I felt he was a little dramatic.
He is a little dramatic. That's the other character I kind of drew inspiration from was Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec.
Oh,
because I love the sort of beginning dynamic of Ben and Leslie where she just loves this thing more than anything in the world, and he's the one person who can take it from her. Mm-hmm. And they're both kind of super dramatic about it. like as if this festival or the park, the Parks Department, Parks and Rec, as if it's just going to be the end of the world for both of them if they don't get their way. And that makes for really fun, interesting conflict. And because Kate is super dramatic. And I kind of love the way that she sort of just puts her foot down as like, nope, I am going to fix it. And that is it. I've just decided it's just going to be fixed.
Yeah. She's very dramatic. She's also like a tiny bit naive, which I think it could come off as cloying, but I think that you pulled it off because she has her own sadness in her life and has made her cling to Christmas as her sort of thing. To the river scene, because I felt like she was being kind of obnoxious, but in a really sweet way, because she was just, I don't know, I loved the river scene because I felt like she was being just like herself. And then you could just see the tension building. It's like she's walking along and he's getting more and more sort of tense and what is she doing? And then when he jumps in after, that was really good. I thought.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. I think that's the one thing about writing a character like Kate, who is just so no, there's magic and things can be beautiful and things can be wonderful and you just have to believe, is that at some point you have to bring reality into it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And so for her to just be no, it'll be fine if I do this kind of dangerous thing, you do kind of have to remind her a little bit, no, bad things can still happen.
Yeah.
And having that moment, but not only can bad things happen, but good things can come out of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I liked kind of having both elements there in that scene, especially.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. Because I think Clark has a good point. A private company probably shouldn't be paying for this Christmas thing. They should do fundraising or something. This should be a civic thing, not a private business. But where he takes that, because the true, a great villain is somebody, and not that he's a true villain, obviously, because he gets redeemed, but a great villain is somebody who takes a kernel of truth and then takes it to a dark place. Yeah. So he has this truth, and then he takes it to this super dark place of I don't even want any Christmas food. I don't want any lights. They're terrible. I think that, so I like that. I don't know. What do you think of Kate, Amber?
Yeah, Kate was fun for me. I like the bullheaded, well, I'm just going to make you love Christmas. The end. You don't even have a choice in the matter. I'm a big fan of being pushy like that. Rachel might call that bullies, but I don't think that's a bully. I think that's just someone who knows what's right and is going for it.
I think you think it's a bully, but you just don't care. You're fine with it.
Like, let's be fair, she definitely bullied him into loving Christmas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And as everyone knows, I'm a big fan of that. No, I liked it. I liked her. I really loved her friends. Her friends are my favorite. Michael made me laugh out loud like a lot.
Oh, yay!
So,
well, you may be excited to know that hopefully, if all goes according to plan, there's a sequel hopefully in the works, and I'm trying to push Hallmark into that sort of romance genre. The second book is about the friends.
That's 100% true.
So that's kind of Emily and Michael are sort of our next sort of Christmas Company pairing.
Yeah, obviously, because they're secretly in love. Everybody knows this. So he's like, how are we going to do this? And then he looks at her and he goes, please don't say it with song. Please don't say it with song. And then she gets like a little look on her face and she goes, with song. I died. It was so funny.
That's the thing. I think Hallmark movies they really have just like kept the spirit of the rom-com alive.
Yes.
So, like trying to weave humor through this whole book was like really one of my big goals. And Michael was such a good opportunity for that because he knows Kate so well. And so he just knows all of her tricks and he's just like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Yeah. And
watching that kind of comedic push and pull it was fun to write.
Yeah. Michael was so funny.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And like, obviously Emily, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had a panic attack. It was something else. Also, Emily was such a good friend. Like the like bully bossy friend that you really want in your life, who's like, no, you're not doing that. What we're going to do is do what's right for you.
Yeah.
We all need an Emily and a Michael.
Yeah. I liked, I think it was Kate, you said, at one point she says, if I was a normal person with a normal life, I never would have found anything spectacular. Bad things aren't the end of the story. Well, I guess they can be, but only if you let them. I like that. That was my favorite, probably, line that you wrote in there. I thought that was really good. If I was a normal person with a normal life, I never would have had anything spectacular happen. So I thought that was really good. And I liked the whole idea of the whiskey stars for Kate as a character. How did you get that idea? That was very clever.
Honestly, it was just, I was thinking about because Hallmark, obviously it's ornaments. I mean, that's the thing. I wasn't really thinking about that when I was writing the book, but Christmas time, I remember when my fiance came home for Christmas the first time, like pointing at everything on the tree. Like one of my favorite things was just, and we got this one from this thing, and this is what this represents, and I love that one because that one does this thing, and like taking him through kind of like our family history through ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And I liked the idea of like the town of everyone donating something to be a part of this festival, and it's just like a little ornament that no one maybe ever will see, but it's important, and like the town knows that it's important to you. And I think that because the book is kind of, with me, it's like toothache sweet, but I wanted to have those kind of moments of a little bit of bitterness, so you kind of remember like they're real people who have real struggles and their pain is real.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole sort of like whiskey star thing came to me because I knew she wouldn't want to forget. I knew she would want something to remember. And so I just kind of started throwing ideas around, and that was the one that came up. Because I remember I have a couple friends who do like art with, alcohol bottles or whatever. And I was like, well, that would be kind of an interesting thing to kind of play off of. So that's where that came from.
Yeah. Well, that was really good because it was the thing that was ruined her father in a lot of ways. And so her making this ornament off of it with Christmas is this thing that saved her and that she loved. It was a really juxtaposition that I thought was good.
But it was so Kate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, Kate. Turning everything into Christmas.
And the fact that she was like, this thing makes me sad, so I'll do a craft about it, is very cute to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Kate.
I like that. I thought it was really good. Is it hard to write this sort of romantic dialogue and get that the near kisses? Of course, we can't have actual kisses in Hallmark movies until the very end. But was it fun to write those kind of scenes? I mean, I love the fact that he like immediately just thought she was just beautiful. Like, thinks there was never any sense of a doubt of like, wow, this lady is insane, but she is pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you don't want it to be like mushy, like, especially because this book, this isn't really a spoiler, but it all takes place over the course of one night. So like, I can't make them profess like Shakespearean dialogue to each other when they've only known each other for, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really a challenge to make it feel like two people who are experiencing like a real moment with each other. And to also make audiences or readers feel like, on the one hand, that it's not like, oh, they're moving too fast, but on the other hand, like, oh, they don't really like each other at all. So having to find that balance was difficult. But basically, when my fiance would get home from work at the end of the day, I would just like turn the computer so he could read it, and I'd be like, okay, you read that out loud, and I'll read my part out loud, and we'll see how it sounds. And something he'd say, and he'd be like, Alys, this is ridiculous. Or he'd say, he's British, so he'd be like, Alys, this is ridiculous. Oh, fine, you're right, it is. And then I'd have to like, go back and rewrite it. But
because if it sounds ridiculous with a British accent,
it definitely is ridiculous. Everything sounds good in a British accent, so
Yeah.
So I definitely had to tweak some of it because some of it was just too. I mean, I remember one of the reviews I've gotten was like, it's very close to being just like too sweet, which I think is probably true. But there was some stuff that would have made it like Wonka Candy Factory sweet that I was just like, nope, all right, gotta rework this a little bit. So it's a little tricky, but it is also really fun to get to kind of go to those places and like feel those kind of warm, tickly feelings when you're writing them.
Yeah. Who do you think out of the Hall stars, who could you see playing Kate and Clark?
I've given this a lot of thought, as I'm sure, I think every Hallmark writer is like, oh, who would it be?
Yeah.
I really loved, one of my favorite Hallmark movies is Cooking with Love. Alys Liebert is like my favorite in the whole world, so I would love to have like an Alys. It's Brett Dalton, right? It wasn't Alys Liebert, Brett Dalton. I would love to see them because I think they have like great chemistry and like their banter is really good. And they both kind of play those like determined sort of like perspective characters really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of that would be my dream pairing. But like all the Hall stars are obviously amazing. Like that's why they're Hall stars. So
yeah,
any of them would be great, obviously.
What about you, Amber? What do you think? Who would you?
I really was the whole time just picturing Casey Manderson as Clark.
Yeah.
Because I felt like he would be so great coming in as like the pencil pushing dweeb. And then like he could pull off being like a charming sass bag. So that was my Clark. My mind Clark.
Yeah, I thought of for Kate, I thought of Brooke D'Orsay was the one who I kind of thought of as being able to pull off that like Christmas insanity with that, like keeping it likable. But and then for Clark, I thought of Steve Bassick as somebody who, because he plays the villain a lot, but he's so charming and cute when he gets like soft on the garage sale mysteries. And so anyway, that was who I thought of.
I would love for one of the villain, like usually villain guys to play a hero turn. I'm definitely on Amber's team with that. Where like every time the other guy doesn't get the girl, I'm like, oh, but I hope he's happy.
Like, yeah, because like especially the decent ones. Obviously the jerk ones we don't care, but they're writing them all decent now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like in a real romance novel setting, like the jerk guy, we would find out who he falls in love with in the next book.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Casey Manderson is a brilliant choice. I think that's really good. You know who also, speaking of Casey Manderson, what's her name? All of a sudden it's slipped my mind. The one who's the Broadway singer, with the blonde hair that he was in the movie with. Amber, I know you know it.
Oh, Laura Bell Bundy?
Yes.
Laura Bell
Bundy.
An amazing Kate.
Yeah, she would be.
I love Laura Bell Bundy.
Oh my, especially with all of the singing and the playing the piano.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hallmark, where are you?
Call us, Hallmark. We'll set it up.
Can you imagine how amazing that would be?
Mm-hmm. It would be epic. Yeah.
That would be so good. Yes. Casey Anderson and LBB. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
About Hallmark is they have so many like wonderful actors that they just work with so often. They have such relationships with that, you know, you get to see so many, you know, there's such a great selection.
Yeah, that's really cool. Sometimes we like to do this thing called the Teen Beat questions, which is like, it's like silly questions about like what's your favorite ice cream flavor and like fun
like
stuff.
the ones they would have asked if you were being interviewed by Teen Beat.
Yes, I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
When I was in my freshman year of college, we had this class called Salon.
Uh-huh.
They would invite like working theater people to come in and like talk to us, and we got to pick the questions. And so the first 3 questions were always, what's your name, where are you from, and are you willing to tell us the story of your first kiss? And then after that, it was like always up in the air. So like sometimes it's like, what's your sign? Or like, what's your favorite kind of baked potato topping? Like,
yeah, very similar to that, except for we will not be talking about first kisses. That is saved for the last 30 seconds of Hallmark movies.
only 30 seconds. One kiss, kids. You only get one kiss.
I am firmly against it.
I agree. I would like more. I'd be way up for more.
Oh, please.
Wedding Bells
More.
as a movie. Okay, we got off topic. But the movie Wedding Bells, which I just revisited, succeeds so much more than it would have because they allow them to kiss at the 3/4 mark. And so it lets their relationship progress just that much more, so it's believable.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Actually, off of this podcast, Amber, I don't think you were on that one, but on the Kisses podcast.
No, I wasn't, because I don't really like watching people kiss. It feels weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird. But I was writing a book that I'm submitting to Hallmark, and you guys were talking about how, like, you know, you have to, like, actually, if you kiss someone, you have to, like, deal with having kissed them, and that's, like, its own sort of can of worms.
Yeah.
And, like, literally the next day I was going to write a almost kiss, and I was like, nope, they have to kiss.
Yes.
They're kissing now, more kissing.
Woohoo!
4 times in that book, but I was like, oh, now they have to deal with it. That's a whole thing.
Me and Amy, we did it. Woohoo! Yeah, just because to me it's what you watch these movies for. Like it's kind of like the big action scene of an action movie. Like you want that, yeah. So, and I mean, most of us are grown-ups watching these. We can handle more than one kiss in the movie.
I hate a cheek kiss. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Don't want that. I want a real kiss. Give me a kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd also be fine if there was a scene where they were like gonna kiss, and then at the last minute the guy was like, no, and kisses her forehead. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. It could be done. Even the cheek kiss, I feel like in the right writing could be kind of cute and thing. But just some physical contact. Come on, let's do this.
But like at some point it does strain credulity where like everyone off scene is like, okay, they're almost there. Hey, like
They're waiting for them to almost kiss in order to do this.
Yeah, it seems like it strains credulity.
Yeah.
At some point. Because, like, people do kiss in the world, and not everyone's always interrupted. Plus, sometimes where they're, like, super intense and, like, super whatever, and, like, their phone rings, they're not going to be like, oh, I have to get this ring.
Unless they have a very special ringtone that is only for emergencies.
Yeah. Or that it's like, don't kiss the girl. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, that's their ringtone? Fine.
Yeah, like some of them, there was one the other day on Chesapeake Shores that it literally looked painful. Like the back was like so abrupt. You're just like, just And I would love for one time for there to be an almost kiss, and then like they go back to kissing.
Yes.
Just once. It would
like,
be great.
Come on, like so they're like getting close to kissing. The phone rings, and they just like still kiss because the phone will ring at least 3 more times. So,
but I would die laughing if there was one time where they pick up the phone and they're like, "Okay, let's get back to where we were." That would be great.
Or like that would be funny if the guy was like, "Now where were we?" And she's like, "I'm actually leaving."
Oh, bye.
Oh well. So anyway,
the teen beat question.
Yay!
All right. So the first question is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Mm-hmm. Very, very wise choice. Number 2, favorite color.
Purple.
Excellent.
That's my favorite too.
Rachel, stop being twins with Alys. She's my twin. Okay. What music are you listening to right now? This would have formerly been what CD is in your CD player.
Oh, I just got the new Hosier EP. It's called Nina Cried Power.
Mm-hmm.
It is okay.
Oh. Okay. I mean, I haven't listened to it. I don't know. Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
Fajitas.
Very spicy.
Yeah.
Steak or chicken?
Chicken. It's like the best thing that my fiance can make. He's like not a very good cook, but when he buys the box mix, somehow it just tastes better.
That's funny.
All right. What is your go-to date night activity?
Going to the movies.
Excellent.
What kind of movies?
Yeah.
Oh, anything. We have like the British version of Movie Pass, but it actually works. we go at least once a week, and so we've basically seen anything that's been in the theaters in the last 2 years. We've probably seen it.
Oh, cool. Good.
Look at you, fancy cinemaphile. All right. Then dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs.
Okay.
I like cats, but I always had dogs growing up.
All right. Beaches or mountains?
Mountains.
Excellent. Fancy dress. Not like the British fancy dress, like dressing in a fancy ball gown or sweats.
Dress.
Yeah, okay. Look at you. Such an elegant lady. Okay. Favorite holiday?
Christmas. Halloween's a very close second. I do love Halloween.
Yeah.
You dressing up this year?
I don't know. I think so. My fiance got like a full-on pumpkin tuxedo, so I think I'm meant to dress to match. But yes, I think so. Hopefully.
Oh what could you be to be a pumpkin tuxedo friend?
Well, I'll just have to get like a pumpkin ball gown, obviously, with like opera length.
Oh my gosh.
Pumpkin gloves, a pumpkin tiara. I'll have to sleep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
To say, you're like living the dream. Like this is great. I wish I had that. So amazing.
But that's like honestly, so I'm most of the time just fine being single. But at Halloween, like everyone's like, oh, it's so hard to be unsingle during Christmas. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I don't care. Halloween is the worst.
Yeah, that's
like,
so true.
Because all I want to do is have a costume that's coordinated with a gentleman.
Right. Yeah, I so agree. Yeah.
So, I just need that accessory. Like, it would really kick things up a notch. Obviously, the accessory, I mean, is like a husband, but I need because it would really pop off all of my outfits. They would make so much more sense in context with a partner. Okay, and then the final one. It's really hard.
Oh gosh, hope I'm ready.
Favorite Hallmark movie?
Oh no. That is actually really hard. I made 2 top 10 lists, so this is really scary.
You can give
give us top 10. That's fine.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay. So my favorite Christmas movie is I really love A Princess for Christmas. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I also love Once Upon a Holiday. I love that one.
Yes.
I love all the royal ones. And then my favorite non-Christmas is Birthday Wish.
Love that one. That was one of my favorites.
I love all the puppies. The scene with the puppies just gets me every time.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm like, it's adorable. And the scene where they're playing trivia and he's like, I'm picking football because girls don't know football. And she's like, and I won.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's really good. I think the whole idea of just getting this like little glimpse of your future is really interesting, and have it be this person that like she never really even considered is really interesting. And
like, how do you not consider Luke McFarlane?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, when I first heard like the plot for it, I was worried it was going to be like The Wonderful Life sort of situation, where like the movie is her kind of walking through this, or like a great bit of it would be like her walking through her potential future. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch that. It might make me sad. But the way she just like sees it and then has to like deal with, oh, is that really what it's going to be like? How do I like maneuver that? I thought it was really fun and really well done. And she's like fantastic. The two of them together were so great. I love it so much.
I agree with you.
And I love Royal Winter. I know you guys weren't very hot on it, but that's probably in my top like 3. I love that one.
We liked it fine. At least I did. I like it fine. It does have a really good kiss, and I think it's cute.
I love that the mom goes to the hotel to get her. I'm like, that's so great.
Yeah.
Those are my tops.
Very cool. Good. Well, you passed the test.
Yay!
Well, very cool. We're really excited about the Christmas Company, and we're excited for everybody else to read it. Let us know what you think of it if you read it, and put it in what you think of the various things we've talked about in the comment section or on Twitter. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you've read any of the original or novelizations from Hallmark Publishing, let us know what you thought and which ones are your favorite. We'd love to know. It's something we're just kind of. This was the first one from Hallmark Publishing that I read, so it's a new avenue. I just wish they would have them on audiobook. That's my only.
Yes.
Because
I asked about that. That's something I think they're going to kind of move towards.
I hope so.
So hopefully, because I really prefer audiobooks, and I have a couple of friends with disabilities that makes obviously holding a book.
Oh yeah.
So that's 2019. I think is going to be the year of the audiobook. So fingers crossed.
I hope. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Plus, they have all this amazing talent. They can totally read the book.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't want to do audiobooks with their talent and then do the movie with a different person.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I just a lot of times when I'm doing busy work, I listen. I have an audiobook on and I listen, and so that's how I do a lot of my reading these days. But anyway, so yeah, check out the Christmas Company. Let us know what you think. And so Alys, how can people find you on social media or whatever?
I am on at Writer Alys on Instagram and Twitter. It's Alys, ALYS. I'm on Facebook, just Alys Murray, ALYSMURRAY. And then I will also be on Hallmark Home and Family on October 16th to promote the book. And I hope you all tune in and see us. I am very nervous.
Oh, you'll do great.
Does that mean you're gonna meet Cameron Matheson?
Yes, and I'm gonna just take a bunch of pictures and send them to you.
Oh my gosh.
Tap your face over my face and pretend you were there. It'll be great.
Yeah, I mean we're basically
twins.
the same person, so it's fine.
Very cool. So Amber, where can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and if you want to fill my reviews about books, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Goodreads.
Hey!
Yeah, and you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube, and I am at Smiling LDS Girl on Goodreads if you want to check that out as well. So that would be really fun. And
but disclaimer, when you look at my Goodreads, don't judge the fact that all I read are romance novels.
No one should do that. No one should judge. That's awesome is what it is.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Is it?
this. It better.
I'm gonna put in some classics just for. Gonna go quickly read some Crime and Punishment or something. Dostoevsky. We're gonna get this taken care of.
Let's just add David Copperfield all of a sudden. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll have to read them. You don't lie on Goodreads.
Very true. I don't ever rely on Goodreads. But anyway, check that out and make sure you're following the podcast on Hallmarkies Pod on Instagram and Twitter and all over. And make sure if you can add your reviews on iTunes, we really appreciate it because that helps people find the podcast more easily. So what you think? And thanks again, Alys, so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
We will talk. I have to have you on again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.